condemned. But to me, things are totally different. Love helps you to relax, which is part of meditation. Love helps you to be joyous, which is part of meditation. Love helps you for few moments at least to be silent. Which is the essential part of meditation. And finally, making love, if you attain to an orgasmic experience, it gives you a glimpse of what meditation is millions times more than this. So to me, love is a basic experience which can help you to become meditators. Just the old religions have been preventing, and they have been preventing for a certain reason. If people can transform their love into meditations, then the priests and the churches and the synagogues are no more needed. Then people are totally free. No spiritual leadership is needed. And there are millions of priests around the world sitting like parasites on humanity. And naturally, they will give you wrong ideas against love, and they will give you ideas for meditation, but because you don't have the basic experience, love is just like when you enter in a swimming pool. Step by step, you are going into deeper water. Then the floor of the swimming pool is divided in two parts, one for those who cannot swim. So it is deep enough up to your neck. And then the second part for those who can swim. But those who want to learn swimming, they have to learn in the first part, which is not for swimmers. They have to learn it there. Once they have learned, then slowly they will gather courage and enter into deeper waters. Because for a swimmer, it does not matter how deep the water is. The swimmer is always on the surface. The water may be 100 feet deep, 500 feet deep, or 5 miles deep. It makes no difference to the swimmer. It makes difference only to the non-swimmer. Beyond 5 feet, everything is death. But the swimming pool is one. Shallow, deep, it is one. And the boundary line is just the line before you learn. To me, love and meditation are just like that. Love is the shallow space in a swimming pool for those who cannot meditate. But that is the place to learn meditation. And it is the same pool, it is the same water, it is the same kind of phenomenon. Just you are unable to go deeper into it because you have been made afraid even to enter into it. The shallow part has been condemned, and you have been told to jump into the deeper part without knowing swimming. So they disturbed your love life by condemnation, and they disturbed your meditative life by a sheer strategy. Because you don't know swimming, you cannot go so deep. And you don't have any experience of silence, peace, sheer joy, a little bit of ecstasy, something orgasmic. They will give you the hints. How meditation is not a myth. You have tasted it a little bit. It is the same energy field. Just you have to go deeper into it. What actually happens when one couple moves into the realm of orgasmic experience? What actually happens? Every point has to be understood. Time stops. For a moment, the pendulum does not move. And that single movement seems to be almost eternity. The two persons are no more two for a moment. They have melted into each other. There is no thought in the mind for a moment. It is all empty and silent. And these are the things which have to be deepened in meditation. And once you have tasted them, you will be surprised that it does not depend on the other person. Something happens within you. Something happens within the other person. But it is not dependent. If you can sit silently, if you can manage by watching your thoughts to bring a gap, a stop, you will suddenly see time has stopped again. And now it is in your hands, not in the hands of biology. You can keep this time stopped as long as you want. And once you know the secret key, the key is no thoughts, no ego, no time. You just are. That's why I have never been against love. I have been so much condemned for it. Naturally, because I was cutting the very roots of the business of all the religions. Every religion is against me. Their profession depends if they can condemn love and praise meditation. They know you cannot attain to meditation, and they know now your love is condemned, it is a sin. You will never experience any orgasmic phenomenon. So meditation will remain just a philosophy, and your life will remain loveless, angry, full of rage, ready to explode on any excuse. Because where your energy will go, it could have become peace, silence, joy, blissfulness. You did not allow it to become that. That repressed energy turns into poison. That's why everybody is irritable, annoyed, worried, tense. The simple reason is that they have lost the natural source of relaxation. No animal looks irritated, annoyed, angry, for the simple reason because they don't understand the language the priests speak. They have never heard that celibacy is spiritual. Of course, they cannot attain to meditation, but they are far better than those human beings who could have attained meditative heights, have lost even simple biological experiences of orgasm. Those are simply indications of your possibilities, potentialities. And it is easier to experiment with something natural in the beginning and then to try something which supernatural, belongs to higher nature. And once you know how to be silent, how to be thoughtless, how to be in a state of no time, no mind, you experience such orgasmic joy, which has nothing to do with sex. It has such purity and such innocence. A man who has attained to such purity and innocence has no need of sex. It is no more a psychological problem for him. But there is no prohibition either. He can enjoy sex too, and he will enjoy it more than anybody else, because his orgasm will immediately become meditative. Experiencing the meditative orgasm, such a bigger phenomenon, his sexual orgasm will immediately trigger the bigger orgasm. He can play with sex. There is no harm in it. There is no need, but there is no prohibition either. It is up to him. The meditative orgasm absorbs your sexual energy, because you don't have any other energy. Your whole energy is sexual energy. And that vast explosion of joy simply absorbs all your energy. Hence, you need not become a pervert. You need not make an effort to remain celibate. It is just your choice. If you want to play old games once in a while, it is perfectly good. In fact, perhaps it should be a part of every enlightened man's life to have sex once in a while, because that will change the attitude of the whole world about sex. Except that it is very difficult to change. Then they can see that even an enlightened person can enjoy sex. There is nothing sin-like in it. And it will join the enlightened man and the unenlightened man in a bridge. At least on one point, both experience the same thing. And the enlightened one can guide the unenlightened that there are bigger orgasms. So start with this small one, but don't stop here. Love is a natural kind of meditation. And meditation is a supernatural kind of love.
Bhagawan, the press in communist countries seem to make the same accusations about you as the press in capitalist countries do. Would you comment on that?
They are not basically different. The capitalists and the communists are in the same relationship as father and son. Capitalism is the father, communism is the angry son. A son who has turned hippie. It is a byproduct of capitalism. So first thing, they are not so antagonistic as it appears. Communism is a state capitalism. That's the only difference. Capitalism allows people to have capitals separately, individually. In fact, that too is more of a show than a reality. For example, half of the Oregon's land belongs to the federal government of America. Now, what kind of capitalism is this? And they are making effort to have the whole Oregon land to be in possession of the federal government. The politicians' fear of us being here is basically rooted in this point. Other things are not real things. The real thing is that this was the idea before we came here, that they will half land they already own. The other half they wanted to purchase from individuals and own it. They wanted Oregon to become a nuclear shelter. And that's why they are so much against us, because we are just in the middle of their nuclear shelter. And they don't want here anybody, a stranger, and we are more stranger than strangers can be. In everything we are strangers. So they want us to throw out of Oregon. They cannot do it because of their hypocrisy. Otherwise their mask will slip down and they will be exposed in the whole world. So they want to do it in such a way that it appears legal, but that is where they are wrong. Legally, they cannot do anything against us. Because whatever we are doing absolutely in accordance with the Constitution of America. It is a strange situation that we are foreigners to them, but we are going to fight for their constitution against themselves because they are prostituting it. And their fear is certainly real. They cannot face us in the Supreme Court, and they cannot face us before the world. And now they have become even more frightened because in 4 years they have not been able to do anything. And they are losing every case because all their cases are bogus, meaningless, stupid. And they all are against the democratic values of respecting individuals, individual property, respecting freedom, freedom of expression, respecting the minority, not only respecting but protecting the minority. We are the smallest group in America. They cannot find a group which is in any way smaller than us. Just 5,000 people commune. If this is not a minority, then what will be minority? And if the Constitution exists to protect the minority against the majority, then the Constitution is in our favor. If it stands for individual property, then they should forget completely that Rajneeshpuram can ever be federal government's land. If it respects individuals, does not make any discrimination between religions, then their discriminatory behavior against us, which we can prove with all the evidences, is enough to expose their whole conspiracy. The very approach of our commune is neither communist nor capitalist. Our approach is beyond both. Both are out of date. If we have to choose between the two, between communism and capitalism, I will choose capitalism. Because at least it gives freedom to the individual, freedom of expression, freedom to own things. It is something tremendously significant to understand that if your all belongings are taken away from you by the government and they belong to the state and you are left alone, naked, they have destroyed major part of your individuality. Your belongings are in a subtle way are extensions of your individuality. Your clothes, your style of wearing those clothes, your house, your furniture, your way of keeping your house clean or unclean, your garden. If everything belongs to the state and nothing belongs to you, you are just a naked animal. Who has been robbed completely. That's what they do in Soviet Russia. For example, when Zakharov received the Nobel Prize and against the government's will accepted it, he was the director of the Soviet Academy of Sciences. He is thought to be the most brilliant physicist today, who has gone higher and deeper than Albert Einstein. The best mind alive as far as physics is concerned. But they immediately removed him from his directorship. His car was taken away. His salary was reduced from 1,000 rubles to 500 rubles. His chief called him and told him, listen, you are one person in millions of people who has a personal car. To have a personal car in Soviet Union is a dignity. But you will have to lose it. And you will have to lose the house. You cannot live in this big, beautiful mansion anymore. Your directorship is gone. And within 15 days, he was sent to Siberia. He is still alive. The best mind in the world is doing nothing. He does not know even that you can change your doing nothing into meditation. he is not aware of it. He will die there. Nobody will know when he lived and when he died. But the first thing they did, they took away the car to make him go into the buses. They reduced his individuality, made him a member of the common mass. Then they took away the beautiful old czarist mansion and sent him into an ordinary quarter where other laborers live. Communism is anti-individual. It is basically state capitalism. Everything is owned by the state. But this is only theory, because state is not somebody there. State means the clique, the gang, the mafia that is in power. And for 60 years the same gang has remained in power. People have changed, but the gang has remained the same. If there are 20 people who are powerful in Soviet Union, those 20 people have remained the same. One dies, another is being replaced by the 19, unanimously. That's why the circle remains the same. And anybody who comes to replace is chosen by the older group unanimously, otherwise not. So for 60 years, a small group of people is owning everything in the country. There is no freedom for press. Only government publishes books, newspapers, magazines. The people cannot even know whether what is printed is true or false. There is no way to compare it. Even people cannot listen to radio stations from outside. If they are caught, it is a great crime. They can be thrown into jail for 5 years, 10 years. So nobody can listen even to foreign countries. Mostly it is impossible because no foreign country releases information in Russian. And in Russia, only Russian is understood. Or other small language groups are there. They cannot understand anything from the outside world. The language is the barrier. Secondly, if they are caught red-handed, they are unnecessarily risking their life for a little information. Who wants to do that? They cannot read books of their own choice. For example, my books are banned. And KGB has been against my sannyasins there, taking all their books newspapers and everything concerning me, photographs, and torturing them and persecuting them and interrogating them continuously to inform about other members, to inform who are other people connected with this movement, who have any other literature. Now, this kind of a society is inhuman. In Russia, it is impossible even for Karl Marx to be born again, because he was a free thinker. England allowed him to publish his books against England, against capitalism. Russia will not allow him to publish a book against Russia and against communism. So in these 60 years, Russia has not given any geniuses. And this is more important to remember, because before the revolution, Russia was one of the most potential country from where geniuses have come. The best novelists were Russians. If you take a list of 10 great novels in the whole history of world, the 5 first you will have to place the Russian ones. There is no other way, because they produce the best novels, poetry, painting. All that creativity has been destroyed. In 60 years, not a single Turgenev, Chekhov, Gorky, Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, not a single person comparable to these has been able to assert. The only way for genius is to move towards science, and that too remain to the whole world unknown. Zakharov was not known before the Nobel Prize was declared. Nobody knew that a man exists who has gone deeper into physical world than Albert Einstein. Now this man belongs to the whole world. It is not a property of Russia. Genius cannot be a property of any nation. And a genius of such caliber is simply rotting in Siberia. And he is not alone there. There are other 3 Nobel Prize winner scientists. Nobody has ever heard their name till they received the Nobel Prize. Russia does not want anybody else outside to know who are the important people in the country, for the simple fear that they may be contacted, bribed, and Nobel Prize they think as a bribe. So the man becomes world famous, The man comes to Sweden to take the Nobel Prize, comes in contact with world media, world scientists, comes to see the outside world and could not imagine that Russia is thousands of years backwards. In Russia he was told that we are living the latest philosophy, communism. And outside they see what is happening, how people are free. So they don't want anybody to go out. This Nobel Prize becomes an excuse for them to go out. They refuse, but their refusal makes the man famous around the world. And because he disobeys, he is thrown into jail, thrown into a mental hospital, thrown into Siberia, and then nobody hears anything about him. This is a criminal society. So if I have to choose between communism and capitalism, I will certainly choose capitalism. Howsoever hypocrite, howsoever politically lying a system it still gives loopholes that individuals can assert, that people can sow their minds, can connect with other people around the world. And even though the politicians may be corrupted, they can be dragged to the courts which are quite fair. Particularly the Supreme Court, because no politician can do any damage to any judge of the Supreme Court. The Constitution provides every protection to the Supreme Court. And once a person is made a judge in the Supreme Court, he is made for his whole life. So you cannot retire him, you cannot demote him, you cannot punish him, you cannot do anything against him. So he has no fear. He need not be unfair. The Supreme Court of America perhaps is the only court in the whole world who is most fair. It can give judgments against the president without any fear. But this is if I am giving only the choice between the two. Otherwise, I have my own idea of a different society. I call it meritocracy. It should not be state ownership, communism. It should not be a cunning criminal political system behind the masks of democracy. Otherwise, how do you explain that in a democratic country like America, Nixon is possible. And Nixon reminds me of Mao Zedong's remark. When Nixon resigned, Mao Zedong could not believe. He said, "This is strange. Every politician is doing it everywhere. I am doing it here. Why these people are so much against?" And why the courts and the newspapers have so much power? But Nixon happened. Perhaps every politician is doing it. Mao is right. But he was caught. Others are not caught. So I don't want a system in which a person like Nixon is possible to reach to the highest post in the country. I do not want a system like America where 20% presidents have been murdered, where Kennedy was murdered, his second brother, who was standing for the presidency, was murdered, and his third brother, and there are only 3 brothers, is threatened that if he stands for presidency, he will be assassinated. The poor woman, the mother of these 3 Kennedys, is 90 years old. She has seen the death of 2 sons, young, immensely intelligent. She knows the third has the capacity to become the president, but she has taken a promise from the third that till I am alive, you should not stand, because it will be too much. I have suffered too much, 2 deaths of my sons. You are my last son. I would not like you dead before my eyes. Let me first die, then you are free. You can stand for the presidency. Now this kind of country where criminals are ruling and people who can do immense good to the country are prevented. Who is preventing them? Who killed the 2 Kennedys? Who is threatening the third one? And why they are not killing Jimmy Carter or Ronald Reagan? Nobody bothers, but it is simple that anybody, any group, any gang who has killed Kennedys is somehow connected with Ronald Reagan, with Nixon. Nixon did everything wrong and he was not shot. And Kennedy was not doing anything wrong. In fact, because he was trying to do something good, he was shot. This is a very corrupted state of affairs. My political system is totally different. I call it meritocracy because it will depend on merit. It will not be a political system. It will not have any political parties. People will be standing for posts on their own merit. And each individual will decide on his own because no political party will be pressurizing him. There will be no political party at all. Individual to individual. No gang will be allowed. And anybody who is chosen because of his merit. If you choose Secretary for Finance, then you will choose the best economist in your country. This does not happen at all. People who don't know anything of economics become finance secretaries, ministers. People who don't know anything about education become education ministers. In India, I knew a man who was just an idiot. He knew nothing about medicine and he became the health minister. In a meritocracy, this type of man can never become a health minister because there will be more qualified people standing for the post. Vice chancellors will be standing for the post of the education minister who have an experience of whole life. No political parties because they pressurize, they accumulate money, they gather people into a certain group, make them faithful to a certain ideology, almost like religion. Political parties are dangerous, just as religions are dangerous. I want religion to be individual. It is an individual search for truth, and politics is an individual search for a better society, better culture. In meritocracy, my idea is to have communes rather than cities. Communes rather than families. Families should dissolve. Pour all their energies into one pool. Big cities should become divided into small communes, running their affairs on their own. The whole country becomes a country of communes, not of cities. These communes will not enforce any kind of equality which is being done in communist countries. But on the contrary, these communes will try to become as wealthy as possible. So wealth is more than enough, more than needed. And everybody can have according to his need. I believe in abundance. I don't believe in poverty. And I believe that man is capable of creating immense wealth. Just he has to be given right opportunity. Wealthy communes, still no enforcement of equality, although without enforcement, out of love and out of compassion and friendship, there will arise a different kind of equality. Nobody will think about it. Now here everybody is eating the same food, equal. But we are not bragging about it that this is communism. And this is simply human, that everybody who is here is essential part of the commune, should receive the same food, should receive as far as possible everything that he needs: medical care, recreation, entertainment. But this is not forced. It has to come by itself. Just as air is enough, so nobody keeps it locked inside the house, that sometimes air may be scarce and I may die out of a scarcity of oxygen, so I should keep something stored. Air is enough. In the same way, everything should be more than enough and available to everybody without any discrimination. No political party, no religious party. Communes living out of love, no families, no equality imposed, but an equality coming on its own, just out of sheer love and brotherhood. And finally, no crime should be punished. Every crime should be treated as a disease, a sickness of the mind. And if meritocracy spreads all over the world, there is no need for nations. If you can have the best mind to be the education minister of the whole world, then why have a third-class mind just because he happens to be an Oregonian or American? all that is essential, academic institutions, scientific academies, art, everything that is useful should be international. Its branches can be all over the world, but it should be in the hands of the best people, the genius. It is really amazing that an art school will exist, but Picasso will not be accepted as the director of it. They will accept his painting for millions of dollars. And somebody who is not known by anybody, whose not a single painting has been sold or is exhibited in any exhibition, remains the director of the art institute. Just because he has a degree, knowledgeability. Painting does not depend on knowledgeability. Otherwise, Mozart cannot be a director of a music institute. Nijinsky cannot be a director of a dance institute. Because these people have no knowledge, no degrees, but they have merit. They have experience. They have the magic, the charisma. All the institutions of the world should be in the hands of charismatic people. There are always enough charismatic people, but they are not allowed in the competition. For many reasons, these charismatic people are rebellious, so they rarely manage to get a university degree. Long before they are expelled. These charismatic people know too much that no institution can teach them anymore. So there is no point in joining those institutions and wasting time. But then they cannot become directors. It is an ugly world. Because we should like people like Mozart to be music directors. They will encourage and imbibe the spirit of music in their students. And the third rate will be thrown out. And one who is accepted by Mozart has already got the degree by his acceptance, by his entrance. So my vision is the whole world finally becoming a meritocracy. But before the world becomes a meritocracy, nations should start. And the meritocracy will have all that is beautiful in democracy and all that is beautiful in communism. And it will not have all that is ugly in communism and all that is ugly and phony in democracy. and it is time to give chance to something new. Okay, sir.